This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final word on the weekend's action. Extra Time, the show where we talk about what's happened over the weekend. And, of course, Wolves have lost 2-0 to Aston Villa at Villa Park. The first time Villa have beaten us in 7 attempts. The first time they've beaten us actually at Villa Park in the top flight since 2003. Yes, they beat us in the Championship, but we had a run of 7 games, drawing and winning, drawing, winning, and they finally managed to beat us. So all the villains are very happy. They were celebrating that fine victory over our academy yesterday. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we had a lot of academy players in and around the squad, which we're going to get stuck into. We are going to be doing this in one hit tonight. The reason for that, mega crazy weekend for myself. Obviously went to the Villa game, did all the content around that, got some tickets thanks to the FA to the Conte Cup, the Continental Cup, the Women's Cup final at Molineux today, a record crowd of over 21,500. Arsenal eventually winning that game 1-0 in extra time, and then obviously getting back. And so we're just going to do it in one hit today. And we have got a star-studded lineup. As always, we've already got over 100 of you watching live. So, you know, hopefully, if you want to get in the chat, you will do. Before I get started, I do want to say a massive, big thank you, as always, to the wonderful people at Creation Wolf for powering Extra Time and delivering the industry's latest and most advanced digital solutions. If you've got a company or a brand, trust me, these guys will take your brand and online presence and digital capabilities to the next level. If you're listening on the podcast, it is creationwolf.com. The link's in the description below as well. And we've got some exciting stuff that's happening with them and the channel down the line this year, which I can't tell you too much about yet, but it's all exciting. We have absolutely some great people and fans joining us today. I am very pleased to say we do have the voice of reason. We need a deep voice, the voice of reason. We have Jack. How you doing, Matt? I did see you at Villa yesterday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Easter, everybody. Hope we're all,
we should say that, of course.
Yeah.
Happy Easter to everyone.
Yeah.
A very happy Easter. Let me know in the chat if you have had any nice Easter eggs or chocolate. I've got a little bit of chocolate in here that Emma has let me have. I've got my cup of tea. Jack's got his cup of tea as well.
Yeah, there we go.
Fantastic.
Just a couple of mugs. Look at that.
Just a couple of mugs on screen, mate. That's us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We also have joining us this evening. It's a pleasure to have him back. An absolutely wonderful, polite, knowledgeable young man, Lewis. How you doing, mate?
Well, good, Dave. I'm good. Happy Easter, everyone.
Fantastic. And I also got to see Lewis with your dad and, of course, Lucas, your brother. Have to say, I did promise him, Lucas, if you're watching, happy 15th birthday. You know, I didn't say to give him a shout out. You see Lucas come on the channel. Sometimes you take it in turns. Did you have a great birthday meal? Not a great birthday result, but you went out to Star City, didn't you, mate? Afterwards, Lewis, with your brother.
Yeah. The result obviously wasn't great, but yeah, I think you know, we'll talk about it obviously later. But the performance was good, and for the most part, and yeah, after that was nice to spend some time with the family, and yeah, it was good. Thank you, Dave.
Brilliant, mate. And he is back. It is Boston Brian. How you doing, mate? You're looking more like every time I see you. What's the guy in Jurassic Park? The guy that builds the park?
Attenborough.
Oh, yeah.
More and more like Richard Attenborough every time I see you, mate. You haven't like got secret dinosaur part knocking around there, have you?
Yeah. Happy Easter, everybody. Anyway, yeah. Yes, Dave. Yes. I'm looking for a job at Christmas, you know. So I was thinking of
You're growing the beard. You need to put a bit of weight on, mate. I think you need to eat a lot more chocolate and Easter to get that. If you're going to get that gig, let's just go to the chat first of all. Loads of people saying good evening, good evening, good evening. Neil's asking about thoughts on summer transfers. So save your questions for the end because we will do an open question. Lots of people, yeah, Rick reacts, smash a like. If you're enjoying the content, do smash a like. We are live on YouTube, on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook. Adrian says, hi, Jack, happy Easter, giving the reasoned approach. Easter is not just about chocolate eggs. Absolutely, Neil, absolutely. Rebecca's got a hotel chocolate Easter haul. Adrian also says you've got a nice sharp haircut there, Lewis.
Cheers, Adrian.
Yeah, and loads of other people saying happy Easter as well. We've got our latest new member, 123 North Street. I'd love to know 123 North Street where you got your username, and he's become a new member. So if you do want to become a member of the channel, that supports us, and you have lots of added benefits as well. We're getting onto the Discord group, which we have lots of chats with, and you get some other perks and benefits, but it supports us. Leo is happy Easter from Melbourne in Australia. So you let us know where you're watching in the world. We've got Deborah the Zebra. Wow, that one's a new one. Deborah the Zebra, I'm loving it. You know, no stripes on her. Happy Easter. Hope we can get some points on the board, but unlikely due to having no strikers. Well, we've got Mark Cox celebrating Easter in Pakistan. 4 hours ahead. Have to watch the Wolves in the sports bars over here sober. As there's no alcohol, watching Cobham Villa match sober is not good, mate. After that, you probably do need a few drinks. We've got Big Aussie. Lee and Jane, we're on coach 3. They had a great time at the game yesterday, they're saying. Rick saying Brian Lewis, Jack Dave and them had Reese's peanut butter cup egg. And we will be asking our pundits here about if they've had any chocolate eggs. Oh, right. Apparently he was born on 123 North Street. That's the reason for the name. I'm loving that. Happy Easter from sunny Purton. We've got Andy Hinton's over in Australia wishing us all a happy Easter. Paul Everett's watching on Facebook. Happy Easter from Canada. Absolutely. Derek's over in Dudley. I got to meet Derek the other day as well in the Manda Centre. So, yeah, let us know. Wishing your Easter. Let us know your Easter eggs. But we have obviously got to dissect, discuss, haul apart, whatever you want, the result from yesterday. And I'm going to start with the voice of reason. We're going to go with the voice of reason. Wolves losing to Aston Villa 2-0. Jack, your story of the game, mate.
So, I mean, I think the word I'd use to describe our performance was competitive.
Yeah,
I thought we gave a decent account of ourselves, given that obviously we had a lot of players unavailable. I know Villa did as well, so we're not kind of going to get the violins out for us necessarily. I thought at 0-0, I thought we were probably shading it slightly. Ait-Nouri has to score. That's the big moment in the game, really. The chance that, okay, Martinez saves it, but you shouldn't give him a chance, really. It's a glaring miss. And I think that kind of lifted them up a little bit. And we sort of had to sit back a little bit after that, and they put us under pressure. The first goal kind of rocked us. It's a great finish, but you look at it from our point of view, there's a lot we could have done better. Clearing the first ball, clearing the second ball, closing the man down. And then there's 2 or 3 players that sort of let the ball just whiz past them. Maybe they could have got a block in us, so things we could have improved there. Second half, we came out, we were doing great. Sarabia just over the top with the free kick. And then Lemina has a chance where the ball breaks to him just on the penalty spot, and he pokes it straight to Martinez. And then about 2.5 minutes after that, second goal goes in, and that kills the game. And then we were very ragged for sort of 10, 15 minutes after that. And they could have got a couple more maybe at that point. Sam made a couple of decent saves. Then we kind of refocused, regrouped a little bit and sort of kept the game alive. And Doherty had the chance, didn't he, at the end with the header that he'd expect to score that with the standards he sets. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of went into the game expecting a tough afternoon. You know, they're a good side, very strong at home, well coached. We've got a good record there, and that's probably what you were leaning on a little bit going into it. We do all right here normally. It's stacked against us a little bit today, but we've got a good record here. It wasn't to be, but kind of like Gary O'Neill said in his post-match, things you take it on the chin, beaten by a good side. It happens a lot in the Premier League, and you kind of move on.
You kind of do, mate. And to be fair, I was going into the game with not a lot of expectation, to be honest. Villa, you know, you have to take your cap off. You have to nod your cap to Villa because they've had a fantastic season. They're going great guns. They are not fourth in the league for no reason. They have got a brilliant home record. I know they've slipped up a little bit recently, but they are very, very good at home. And, you know, we've got so many injuries, especially in the forward areas. I know that there's a few Villa fans, because I've did the vlog and I've talked about the reaction. I've talked about the lack of strike power and how many injuries we've got. And there's a few Villa fans that have probably put content and comments, well, we've got injuries too. And they have, and I did refer to that. But their injuries are spread about different parts of the pitch. All our injuries are all in the forward positions, apart from Dawson, of course, who is playing, obviously got a bit of a groin injury. So, like, if you've got injuries, like we could have two out up top, but we've still got two to come in. We could have a couple out in the middle. We've got people to come in. It's all in that one area. So it's all right saying, yeah, we've got injuries. We had McGinn out and we had out and we got a defender out, and, you know, but they've still got replacements that could come in. You know, I didn't see any academy kids on the bench playing for them because they've got a deeper squad. And it's the Wolves' small squad is an issue that has definitely got, in my opinion, has got to be sorted out during the summer. I think it's a big test. You know, we've had Sutty come on here and many other people that have come on here that have, you know, not been happy with what's happened in the summer with Fosun. And there's also people that have, again, I talk about Sutty that's kind of gone, you know, he's given them a fair crack of the whip because of everything that's come to play with FFP and how we've managed to get through that and the points deductions that have been given to Forest. So you say, okay, well, fair enough. But this summer is going to be a big test of the fan base to see whether they not only make sure Gary O'Neill has a much improved contract and we get rid of all these rumours linking him with wherever, but we also can support Gary O'Neill by bringing in the players that he wants. He's already said he wants a striker. We probably need to strengthen in defence as well. So I'm going to go on to Lewis next, mate. You know, your thoughts. I mean, we've got a bench full of academy kids, pretty much. We've got an academy kid starting up front, replaced by an academy kid coming on later, Fraser. You know, that's where we're at. First 30 minutes, we were, I mean, any Villa fan, I thought we were fantastic. First 30 minutes, I thought we were the better team. Didn't take the chances.
Yeah, I think for 50 minutes of the game total, maybe 60, the performance from us was far better. And I spoke to a lot of neutral fans, you know, people who have no investment in the results of the match. And they all said the same thing. We were the better side for the majority of the game. But like you said, Dave, we didn't have the quality because of injuries and, you know, absences to score the goals. I remember speaking to you in the concourse before the game. I said that if they score, we don't get anything today because we're not going to score. You know, I think their defence was far superior to our attack yesterday. And yeah, I think it's disappointing when that's the situation we're in. But, you know, as we approach the last few games of the season, I think there's about 9 left. Maybe if you think about the table and the way it's shaping up, maybe it may be a bit of a stretch for us to get 8th place. Maybe you get to the last 4 or 5 games and you start thinking, well, we can start preparing for next season then, and looking at the academy kids and thinking, well, you know, can you stay here next season and be competitive for spaces, or is it a good opportunity for you to leave and get some experience consistently? But yeah, I think yesterday's performance was good. I wasn't disappointed with the performance at all, and I'm somebody who always, you know, looks to the performance, you know, first and foremost, because I think, you know, in the short term, obviously, in the immediate aftermath of the game, you either get 3 points or you don't, and that's the most important thing there. But to me, the performance is really a lot more important than the result, because if you have consistent good performances, you will pick up points, and we've consistently played well this season. We've had runs where we've won a lot of games consistently, and I just feel like sometimes it's been a bit too much of a stretch for us this year, where we've maybe won 2 or 3 on the bounce, and then we've had a draw or a loss, and it's just knocked us off, and that means that, you know, possibly pushing for that 8th place, as people you know, would like us to, and I would like us to obviously. I think it just might be
on that, Lewis. I have got a poll running on the channel today, which is, will Wolves make Europe? So it's just a fun poll. You've got instinct. It's a simple yes, no question. Hopefully, because I'm running this on the streaming software, I can't actually see the poll live. So hopefully, you know, Emma or someone will keep the poll going and let us know the yes, no percentages as we go in the chat. Emma? I'm told at the moment it's 12% yes, 88% no. I thought it was a fun one to do. So yeah, I just want to come on that. Make sure you enter the poll. Lewis, carry on. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I'll carry on from there, Dave. I did answer that poll as I clicked onto the link and stuff, and I voted no. Yeah. I think really there's two ways to look at the kind of the final finishing. Sorry, the way the season will finish. I think if you take a short-term view and you've looked at it by week, how we should maybe do and how we could do, maybe you will feel overall at the end of the season we're happy, obviously, but slightly disappointed. Maybe we could have been in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Obviously, when the draw was made against Coventry, you couldn't really ask for a better draw. It's always tough, but that would have been the team most people would have selected. So maybe we have a bit of disappointment there. Again, like I said earlier, you know, we've had a good runs this season where we've won a few games, and then we just haven't had that quality to kind of get the 4th one in and things like that. So maybe you'd be a bit disappointed if we don't finish 7th or 8th, as some people would have liked us to, obviously, you know, myself included. And, you know, you'd probably feel a bit, not let down at all, but just a bit, we could have been there. You know, we had a good chance, good opportunities. But then on the flip side of that, you take a longer view and you think, well, look at, you know, the start of the season and the end of the season in isolation. And you think, well, the bookies were tipping us to go down. Everybody in football, you know, the pundits, YouTubers, everybody involved in football felt that we would be relegated.
I did a pre-match preview with friends from YouTube channels from every club, and I think I'll have to do a watch back of it towards the end of the season. But I think probably 17 or out of the 19 had us to go down.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. And then you look at where we will finish, and it will be between maybe 12th and possibly still 8th. I'm not ruling it out, but I think it might be a step too far this season. And you'd be very happy with that. You know, you'd say, well, that's fantastic. And you wouldn't really have any disappointment at all. So I think it just depends, you know, the way you look at it. And I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way to look at it that way, because I think it's important to take into account the results that you do get on a week-by-week basis. But also you have to keep that perspective of, well, a lot of people didn't expect us to be here at all, and we have been. So, yeah.
Absolutely well said, mate. And we're going to come talk more about that. I'm just going to bring in Boston now. You've heard what Jack's had to say, Lewis had to say. Your take on the game yesterday?
Well, I pretty much agree with what the guys just said. First half hour, we were fantastic. And also the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, you know, we were at the game, you know, but it's just the lack of depth up front, isn't it? Really, I mean that's our problem. To have 3 players, well, 4 players really, isn't it? With Bellegarde, you know, but those 3 players, Neto, Kuna, and Wang, to have them all missing at the same time, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, if you took the same type of players out of most Premier League teams, they'd struggle, you know, they certainly would. But that's not no excuse, is it really? As somebody's just said on the chat, last season, we had about seven players vying for 3 places, including Pedence and Raul and Adama. That's gone now. There's nothing we can do about that. Going to the, but I thought it was good. It was a good performance, really. I thought Santi Bueno played well yesterday. I think he played really well, actually.
Did you notice the change at the back 3 as well? That,
yeah.
Kilman actually played in the centre.
Yeah.
When they lined up. Why do you think that was, Brian?
I think Chris, yesterday on your instant reaction summed it up. He's probably the best ball player, isn't he? You know, and he can read the game. Although I think Bueno's, I see a big future for Bueno at this club. I know me and Sweaty co-chairman of the Santi Bueno fan club, but he's not without his flaws. He's not without his flaws. But yesterday, I was quite impressed with him. Actually, it was. I know the first goal. I had a discussion with Craig.
Well, I've heard about this discussion because Craig was saying about how poor it was defending, but you're saying it was clever play from Villa. Is that what you...
Well, Jamie Redknapp did a good analysis at half time on Sky. I didn't notice it straight away, but Lamina gets blocked. He gets blocked by, I don't know who it was. And, they're all lined up in 2 lines, aren't they? Interspersed with each other, the Villa forwards and us. And what happens is a guy out wide on the left. The free kick's sort of towards the left, centre towards the left. What he does, you think, he's going to play it short to him, but he doesn't. He goes on a run, and where Lamina's the sort of on our side, the far right of our defence, he sees this guy running, and he goes to take him, but the guy stood right behind him, and he blocks him. It's called blocking. You do that. That happens on all the corners. I mean, Martino used to do that, didn't he? On the corner, he's not going to win a ball in the air, is he, Martino? But he was there for blocking runs and things like that, and it worked perfect with him because that guy went running down the left. It was he had 2 yards, didn't he? He had the time to pick his spot. Actually, it wasn't that good a cross because it went really to Doyle, didn't it? It wasn't Doyle's fault. Coming off his heel, and then straight into the line of that guy.
Well, Doyle stuck his leg out to block it, and he blocked it straight into. But the guy on the edge of the area, he had so much space. Is it Diaby?
Yeah, he did. But I mean, obviously, when they got caught out, what the rest of the defence did, they defended, the danger area, the 6-yard box and a penalty spot, and that, they all dropped in, and then because their momentum was taking them that way, to get out and block the shot was, it was difficult, and it did take it first time. If it had took a touch, then it would have been a different story, because that split second they'd have been that much closer, But it was a great strike, wasn't it? You have to say it was a fantastic strike.
No, it was a great strike. When I was watching it and watching it live, I mean, yeah, maybe there was a block, but you don't leave someone on the back post like that in acres of space to cross the ball into your box. We were wide open, and it was, whether it was a clever block or not, you still got to account for all of that. And then you're leaving someone on the edge of the areas with so much space. And you might be right. Obviously, they were being sucked in, but we were doing really, really well up to that point. I looked at the stats just before that goal, and Wolves were on 69% possession. We'd had 6 shots, 2 shots on target. Villa were on something like 31%. No shots on target.
Yeah.
Hold on, I think just not long. It was probably just before the Ollie Watkins chance, which he missed. The first shot on target, and it goes in the back of the net. And you know what? This is Wolves all over. We did create some good opportunities. Tommy Doyle had a really good shot on his right foot, which whizzed past the post. He's got, Wolves are the only team in the Premier League this season that have not scored a goal from outside the area. We've scored in the cup. We've not scored a goal from outside the area. We're the only team in the Premier League that's not scored from outside the area.
I'll answer that in one word, Dave. Never. Neves. We haven't got Neves.
Yeah, but we've got Tommy Doyle, and we've seen that he can do. He can hit them. Why didn't Doyle take the free kick as well when like Sarabia stepped up? To me, I'm going, give it to Tommy Doyle, give it to Tommy Doyle, and Sarabia does what? I mean, you know, he just floated it over the top of the box. To be honest, it is close because the free kicks, it's probably too close. But like Tommy Doyle's got this way of pinging it, you know, whereas Sarabia, obviously, he probably sees himself as senior to Doyle, has stepped up and taken it. But I'd have preferred Tommy Doyle to have taken that free.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that, Dave, is they were both lined up to take. I thought Doyle was going to take it because obviously on the TV you could see, you know, his face a lot better than what you could see it at the game, and I thought he's lining this up, you know. But obviously that they can see, you know, the way the wall's lined up, how where the gaps are. You know, they can see it better than anyone. You know, than on the TV or at the match. You know, so they're the ones who probably decided between them who's going to take it. Yeah. So you know, it's one of those things. Otherwise,
personally, as well, I've never I've not forgiven Harry Mansell yet. Who I do love, top lad. I've not forgiven Harry Mansell. I was playing in the at Molyneux in the charity thing last year, and it was a free kick, and I'm right there, and I go to Harry, just tap it to my right. I've got this, and then he tapped it to the guy on the other side, and we lost. He got blocked away. And he says, "I didn't tap to you because I thought they knew I was going to tap it to you," and I was like, "Oh." We've had a laugh about that afterwards. But no, seriously, I think Tommy Doyle. Lewis, you're nodding about Tommy Doyle there. Is that what you were thinking as well?
Yeah, Lucas was stood next to me in the stands, and he said, I think Tommy's on this. I think it was a similar distance to, I think, the Brentford one. It might have been a free kick, or it might have been a goal that from open play that he scored at Brentford. But I felt it was in a similar position. I did think that maybe Sarabia obviously just outranked him in the hierarchy of the squad and said, "Well, I'm having this one." And maybe on reflection, it was much more suited to Doyle, maybe for me. And you know, obviously, you don't know what can happen if he takes a free kick or not. But yeah, I think I would have preferred Doyle on it if it was my decision.
Yeah, Jack, on that free kick, were you the same or not?
Not. I mean, if Sarabia steps up and scores, we're not having this conversation, are we? So it's one of them. I think, you know, I've seen Sarabia in training and in friendly matches put free kicks in that position in the top corner. So I've got no issue with him stepping up as the senior man on the pitch and saying, "I'll have this one." You know, I think it's one of those. Free kicks are a funny one, aren't they? If you get a free kick in a great area, you consider it's a great chance to score. But there's a very low percentage of free kicks that actually go in. So it's probably not as good or a crucial a moment as you probably think. But because it's in a great position, you go, "Oh, this is a great chance to score." But you got to beat the wall, you got to beat the goalkeeper, you got to get it on target. So it's one of them. I think, you know, whoever takes it, they've got an opportunity, but it's not a gilt-edged chance, is it? In the same way that Ait-Nouri's was, for example.
Yeah, I mean, Ait-Nouri, do you think obviously that was a real good chance, but when it came across, I think it sort of skimmed off one of their defenders' head, and it landed right on his foot. Maybe if he was an out-and-out striker, he would have reacted quite faster, because I don't think he expected it to come to him. And because we've seen him finish, because he's got a lot of skill. But Martinez is a very, very good goalkeeper. Whether you think he's an idiot or not, he's still a really, really good goalkeeper, and he did come out. But it's a golden opportunity. If that goes to a number 9, you'd think a number 9 finishes that, don't you?
Yeah, he did it. I mean, his first touch was really good, actually. He had
his first control's brilliant.
Yeah, his first touch was really good. And he did hit it to Martinez's left, you know, his right, but not enough. That was the thing, because he didn't even have to leather it, did he? Really, if he'd just guided it that way, it was him. You know, because Martinez was doing the right thing. He was, you know, trying to get down to the near post, you know, because thinking that's where he was going to put it. But if he'd have just put it just another foot to the to his left, because he saved it with his foot, didn't he? You know, so
he did, and that's what keepers are trained to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
make themselves big. You know, it come to him fast. It was close into his feet. It took him a little bit to get it out, and Martinez was sharp to the danger and did what he did, and he didn't finish it. At the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. Ryan Aitnew had another good game again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think he tries to do too much because he's so talented on the ball. His close control is insane at times, but sometimes I think maybe because he feels a lot of responsibility on him with the pace that we've got, he does a little bit too much sometimes when he could release the ball. I always like Ryan when he's going forward. What did you think, Jack, of our new centre forward?
Chiwome.
Yeah, making his debut.
To be fair, I think my friend who was sat with me at the time, sort of just before half time, said to me, says he doesn't look out of place. And I think that's probably the best sort of compliment you can give him, really. For sort of maybe an hour, he did what he could have done. I mean, there wasn't a great amount of service, was there? And you could see a few times he was pointing where he wanted the ball and the ball never arrived. And that's frustrating as a centre forward. But he held the ball up quite nicely. He was involved in a couple of sort of where he held the ball and then laid it off. And then, so yeah, I mean, I think he got tired towards the end, and that's why I think maybe he came off and whatnot. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's not a finished article, and you wouldn't expect him to be at this age, and it's difficult to kind of sit here and say yes, he's going to be a Premier League player or Championship, or he's going to. You've got to give them time, and I think if we're going to be missing strikers for the rest of the season, which potentially Wang, Neto, maybe we are, I think you've got to manage these minutes a long time, because we saw with Fabio Silva, didn't we? You know, sorry to rake over old ground, but he was thrown in when perhaps he wasn't ready, and it completely destroyed him from a confidence-wise and a mentality point. And I think with Fraser and Chiwome and these guys, give them time to develop, but don't put them in too much. And then if he plays sort of 4 games, doesn't score, people start writing him off and criticising, which isn't going to help. So I thought for an hour, I thought he did what he could have done with the service he had.
Lewis, what's your take on Chiwome, and were you surprised that Kuna wasn't even in the squad?
I think Jack's got it right. Really, you couldn't really have asked much more from him. He's such a young kid, and he's playing up against really top defenders at Villa. You know, Torres, Carlos, Con's obviously on the right, and Moreno. You know, they're not inexperienced defenders. They're very strong, very capable. And like you say, he didn't get much service either. I think that is a big problem for us. It's not just a striker that we're lacking at the moment. It's the forward players. And I think for Gary, has a couple of options which could work. You know, maybe you do play it further forward, but then you kind of sacrifice the risk of having Bailey, wide open at the back, and he's a very capable player, and especially at home, he always seems to score. So I think it's a tough one for him. If he had the support around him with Neto and Wang, maybe it would be a bit easier for him. You know, he'd have that service, and he could give a better account of himself. You know, in terms of scoring it. Having some shots. Sorry, but no, I wasn't really disappointed with him, because the standards you can't expect too much either. But with Cunha, I wasn't really surprised to not see him in the squad, because I don't see the point in rushing him. We're not competing for a place in the league specifically. I know I keep going on about 8th place, but I think there's kind of an acceptance that maybe it's that step too far. So it's better to protect the players than risk a further injury. And I'd expect to see him at Burnley, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well. I mean, Wolves have got another game coming up very, very fast. In fact, we're playing 3 teams with claret shirts in the space of a week. Obviously, Villa, Burnley and West Ham. Gary O'Neill's talked about we've only got 12 fit senior outfield players. Obviously, you got 15 if you include the keepers, but we've got 12 fit senior outfield players at the moment. That is like ridiculously tiny. amount of squad. I mean, the good news is we've got 41 points on the board. Had we have got 31 points on the board at this point in time, I'd be a lot more stressed and concerned. But Burnley coming up on Tuesday, you'd feel that maybe they've given an extra 2 or 3 days that you think that Cunha might be involved. And the other question I want to ask, when are we going to see Noah Lemina? You know, he's been on the bench 5 games in a row. He's on the bench. If he's on the bench, surely he's, you know, I want to hands up if you want to see Noah Lemina given a bit of game time, because I'm one. I definitely do. You know, if in the chat, if you want to see Noah Lemina get on the pitch, give us a thumbs up or a wave or something. You know, Brian, do you want to see Noah Lemina get on the pitch?
It's difficult, Dave. You know, when I worked at Southampton, we always used to say, you know, I was part of the club. We always had young players on the bench, always. You know, that's why they were so successful with their academy. You know, because they get them in. They start training with the first team when they were 15. They'd bring them in for training when they were 15. Not when they were short of first team players. They'd introduce them to the first team just in training when they were 15. Goalkeepers all over the pitch really, and then they'd have, well, when we start having, you know, what the hell is allowed on the bench these days? Is it 7? Is it, or sometimes it's 9? Isn't it? You know, cup games and that. You know. But the Saints would always have at least 2 players from the academy on the bench, bringing them in. No intention of playing them. It was just to get them into the routine of the first team environment. So we're not the only ones who have done that. You know, I mean, and a couple of the other players that were on the bench yesterday, I didn't know who they were. You know, I'd never heard of them, and I do follow
Brian, let's on that point where you're talking about the youth team, because we do have an academy connoisseur that is with us this evening, and his name's the voice of reason, Jack. No, seriously, Jack watches a lot of the academy, studies the academy. You know, have you seen anything of Noah Lemina in the academy games, mate?
I saw him. He played 1 45-minute game against West Brom in the 21s Premier League. So I've seen very, very little of him.
What were you making of him?
He looked to me like he was still finding his feet. He was. You could see with his touch, he's a good footballer. He needs to just time to gel with his teammates, because he was making runs and they weren't quite finding him, and then he was playing a pass and no one.
Is that because he's at a level, because of his PSG, he's like above the academy in terms of his runs, or just because he's just not synced?
I think he's a good player. I do. I think we've got to be careful, because we get these players coming through, and there's always whispers and rumours of this one's coming through, this one, and it puts so much pressure on them straight away. I think they've got, like Brian said, they've got to find their feet naturally and organically. And it might be that actually it's 12 months, 18 months, 2 years before we see Noah Lemina ready to step in. But it's got to be the right time. Like we said with Fabio earlier, if you throw someone in and they're not ready, it can kill them as a footballer. And the fans suddenly go, actually.
In which case, why is he on the bench?
Well, because we've got no other options, haven't we?
That's he has been on the bench something like 5 games in a row. I get exactly what you're saying. I'm not on about starting him. I'm like, why can he not come on for like 10, 15 minutes towards the end of the game? He's like getting in just to get a feel. Maybe he'll get some game time against Burnley. Obviously, he's in and around the squad, which is good. But like, if you're not going to play someone, you know, why is he on the bench? He's been on the bench 5 games in a row, and he's not come on yet. We've seen like the other kids. Maybe he'll get a chance on Tuesday. I think most Wolves fans literally just want to see him, and they will give him they'll really, you know, they're not going to go in on him if he doesn't work out for him in 10 or 15 minutes. But I think most Wolves fans want to just see him get on the bench just to see what he's like, you know, what he's got, so we could get a feel for him. I mean, Lewis, you know, I mean, I agree with what Jack's saying, you know, but like, if someone's on the bench 5 games in a row,
Mhm.
you know, me and you could be on the bench 5 games in a row, you know, couldn't we? And we'll pitch and stuff like that and loosen up a bit, but like never come on.
No, I understand. Obviously, there's an incentive to play him because he's on the bench and he's consistently there. And if the bits I've seen of him in training are good, he looks, as Jack said, he looks capable. But I can understand sometimes that there's the desire just to kind of break them in slowly. And I know that means you have to put him in, but I think that there are options in that position, maybe who are slightly ahead of him. The academy guy. I'm not sure of his name. He's been on the bench a lot. He came on against Villa the last 10 minutes. I'd say that's a kind of a similar position. Lamina.
Chirawi,
I get confused between the two of them because their names are so similar. But yeah, he's played a few times. He looks all right as well.
Yeah. So I'd say, like, in terms of the pecking order between him and Lamina, I'd say he's slightly ahead. And that just means that you can't obviously bring them both on in the same position. But, maybe it would be nice, especially towards as the season draws to an end, he definitely gets a couple of minutes, a couple of appearances with a few minutes on, decent amount of time, because, there's no better opportunity than the end of the season when the places are kind of settled and you're not competing as much. It would make no sense maybe at the start of the season next year for him to start playing then, because there's a lot more to fight for then. It's a fresh season, fresh start. So, yeah, I think I can understand why he's not there yet. But, if it's this time next season, he's still not played a game, I'd be a bit more.
Well,
yeah.
Well, Lewis, you will have had to have bought him. This is what I'm saying. We've got, how much is what is the fee to buy him?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask, Dave. Do you know how much it is?
Isn't it about 4 million?
No, about €1 million.
1 million, is it?
1 million, yeah.
1 million.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going to spend $1 million on him. It's obviously Gary's seen him in training. To me, £1 million is not a lot for a player. But like,
don't forget, Dave, he doesn't speak any English at the moment.
Don't need to speak any English to be on a football pitch. To be on a football pitch, you do not need to speak any English to be on a football pitch. He's got coaching people around him. He's got his brother there to interpret. He can get orders. When you're on the pitch, you're not having a conversation going, we're going to go for a curry later and stuff like that. You're calling for the ball. You do all the basics. You do not need to be able to speak any English to be on a football pitch to play. You just need to be able to, know the names of your players, point, shout, whatever you need to do. But you don't need to order your curry or,
But that's all. Speaking the language, Dave. I'm not talking about being on the pitch. I'm talking about speaking the language when you're actually at the club, right?
Yeah.
I went through it, right? I used to deal with the boys at Southampton. We had lots and lots of foreign boys, yeah. And the first thing they did was they went on a language course, yeah, right. But do you remember we were at Spurs the other week, and you went up speaking to him, and he just glazed over. He didn't understand a word you said, did he? So.
Well, Richard Hubbard says here, Bully couldn't speak a word of English, but he did all right.
All right, yeah, okay, yeah. But I'm saying, Dave, I've seen it at first hand at the academy, and some of them are like, they're just totally lost sometimes, and it just doesn't work out for them, and it's an additional obstacle for them to get over. It is a big factor, yeah.
But with Noah, and I've met Noah. Actually, I've got a picture with him. He was very shy, very meek and mild when I met him. It was like just after we got Jose Sarr and Pedro Neto on the reaction. It was over there. Very pleasant chap. He's obviously a really nice lad, but he does have his big brother at the club, to look out for him. So he's in a bit of a different situation to a lot of them young lads that you're talking about. He's got Mario there, who obviously everyone loves. I think, with regards to Noah, £1 million isn't a lot of money. Hopefully Gary's seen him a lot in and around training. He's in and around the first team. He's obviously bonding with the first team. He's sitting on the bench. The next step for me is give him some minutes on the pitch, even if it's 10 minutes to come on, just to take that next step. And hopefully we'll see him get some minutes either at Burnley or West Ham. Otherwise, I just think, why does he keep putting him on the bench if he's not going to give him a run out? Because if I'm a player and like I'm sat on the bench for 5, 6, 7 games, and I'm seeing other people come on and have goes, and I'm not getting on the bench, I'm like, why am I even here on the bench? You're not even going to give me a chance. Give me 10 minutes. Let me have a go. Let me get a feel for it. Would you, Lewis, you're sitting on the bench.
Yeah, like I said, David, if you're a player and you're consistently being picked to go on the bench and you feel as if there's no chance you're going to get on the pitch, it can become frustrating. But I think it's a difficult position for Noah to be in, because he's arrived at the club definitely for the future, similar to Enzo Gonzalez, who I've seen mentioned in the comments a few times. But we have to name a bench. But unfortunately, I think that the other academy lad is just ahead of him in the pecking order, and that's just the way it's fell. I don't think it's anything to do with his quality. I think it's just that maybe he feels more comfortable at the club. He's been here longer, obviously, as an academy graduate. I think it's just got he's sorry at Reading, but he'd been here since the start of the year. I think it's just to do with that more so than anything that he shouldn't be playing. I think it is just that when they're looking to the bench, it's okay. We're going to pick the other player first.
Dave, there's comments in the chat here. Rick says about Tevez and Aguero couldn't speak English and they did all right. They were world class players. They were world class players. Those two. You can't compare this young lads to those two players. They didn't need to speak it. I fully agree with you there, Dave. They didn't know, but they were seasoned professionals.
Are we saying that Noah Lamine has not been playing football for however many years
he's not I can guarantee he's not a Tevez or an Aguero. Otherwise, he would be playing. Otherwise, he would be.
No, he's not. Obviously, he's not. He's not anywhere near that yet. But if he's good enough to be on our bench at this point in time, and there's other lads that are coming on, then to me, if he's been on the bench 5, but he's not once or twice, then surely he's going to be good enough to be given a little bit of a run out. Jack, I mean, again, am I just being pedantic to create a conversation here, or do you think it's about time he gets given a little bit of a run out?
I think the ultimate judge is Gary O'Neill, isn't it? And he'll watch him every day in training, and so will the coaches. And if they think the time is right to put him on, they'll put him on. If they think they need to hold him back a little bit, that's what they'll do. And they'll do that with the benefit of the team in mind, and also the benefit of him as a player, his development and his welfare. I think the point to make is, if we didn't have any injuries, he'd be nowhere near the bench at the minute. Yeah, and I think exactly. The plan was for him to come over. Obviously, he's had a terrible bereavement in his family at the time. That was part of the reason.
Rebecca's mentioned this. Obviously, we do have to take in context as well that obviously, and I do all know about losing a parent and stuff like that recently. He might not be ready emotionally, but there is that, but he's still on the bench.
Yeah, I think
it's like people still go to work. Whatever age, whether they're going down to the working in McDonald's or whether they're working in a factory, that have loss in their lives, they're getting paid money to go and do a job. And I know about the emotional side of things, and you obviously take that into context, but it's not, it is a little while now he's involved with the squad. I'm not sure whether that would be the reason, Jack. Would you think that would be a reason?
No, all I'm suggesting is I think this wouldn't have been the plan. I think that they obviously that is someone that they've scouted for a while, and obviously there's the family connection with Mario. I think an opportunity arose in January to bring him over, partly due to family circumstances. Obviously, he'd have preferred to be with Mario. He wasn't getting any game time at Sampdoria, I think it was, and so PSG were happy to push the deal through. The plan probably would have been come over for 6 months, settle down, get used to living in Wolverhampton, get used to living in England, the language, the culture, play some 21 football, train with the first team here and there, and then in the summer, full pre-season, we'll have a really good look at you. We'll get the permanent deal done, bang, and happy days. We've now got, 5 senior forwards out injured, and all of a sudden he's on the bench and he's in the spotlight, and we're all going, oh, why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? He probably wouldn't have played anyway. So it might just be that we're kind of looking at a situation and going, why is he not playing? When actually he's probably not meant to play anyway. It's just that because we've got an injury crisis, he's suddenly been thrust onto the bench, same as Ty Barnett, and we're going, oh, could we not give him a go? Could we not give him, yesterday, 10 minutes to go, you're 2-0 down. The game's probably done. Like you say, great opportunity to put someone on, but it's not always as easy as kind of.
Like, obviously, PSG are really keen to come to Wolves because he wasn't getting any game time at Sampdoria. He's not getting any game time at Wolves either.
But I think in terms of what PSG were looking at, if he was playing every week for Sampdoria, they'd have said, actually, we've got an investment there. We've got a talent that's developing nicely. So hang on a minute, Wolves. I know what's going on, but we want to keep him there. But PSG have probably gone, actually, he's not getting any benefit from being in Italy. He's miles away from his family, miles away from everything. He can go over to Wolves for 6 months with his brother and everything. And then, if they want to do the deal in the summer, they can and whatever. So I think it's...
Are we signing him in the summer for £1 million, Jack? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Lewis?
Yeah, I think if he is being consistently picked on the bench, Dave, then he's worth £1 million to the squad.
Boston?
Yeah, I'd sign him. I just want to say that as well. So, somebody just made a point as well. He needs to play some 21 games. It's been unfortunate, actually, because the 21's hardly been playing the last few weeks. So, with the international break as well, and other circumstances as well. So they haven't been playing. I mean, sometimes they're playing almost like twice a week, sometimes, but just recently they haven't. So it's just been unfortunate, really. And it's difficult to assess a player if he's not playing, is it? It's not the same. It's not the same in training. It's not the same.
And I think with the Noah situation, and obviously I've been, creating debate here regarding the Noah situation. At the end of the day, we trust in Gary O'Neill on when he's going to be ready to bring him in. And I think the reason that it's come to the fore is because Gary O'Neill keeps putting him on the bench, and the fans watch the games and they're thinking they want to see him. They're excited because he's an exciting prospect, and they want to get a look at him. And when he's on the bench running up and down the pitch, limbering up, they just think, oh, Noah Lamina, he's got pace, he's got skill. That's something that we're lacking. Let's have a look. We want a pacey forward. Can he create a bit of damage? And with the fans, I think, just want to see what he can do, and maybe he'll get a run out against Burnley. Jack, another one. People have asked Enzo, what's the update on him?
So he, over Christmas and New Year, he was away playing the Olympic qualifiers with Paraguay, and Paraguay did actually qualify. So hopefully he'll be able to go and play in the Olympics over the summer, which would be a great experience. He's injured with a hip injury at the minute. And the diagnosis was 4 to 6 weeks, and I think that was sort of early February. So you're looking at April time before. Well, so it's April tomorrow, isn't it? So any time in the next couple of weeks, I'd have thought.
Basically, Enzo has been out injured with a hip injury, which is why things are going to be quiet with him. So there you go. Because I know Harry here was just putting on about. Enzo probably doesn't realise that's probably he's not going to be ready, and he's definitely not going to be one that's ready for this season, is he? But like, if he does get to go to the Olympics, that would be a great experience for the young lad as well. Because from what you've seen of him, what have you made of him?
Again, you can tell he's a good footballer. Got great touch, vision, nice balance, quick feet. Again, English football's very unforgiving, isn't it? And he'll need to toughen up. He'll need to get a little bit sort of battle hardened, if you like. He'll need to take a few hits in training and in practice matches, if you like, to get himself ready, and he knows what's coming. Again, I think sometimes we try and shorten this time frame, don't we, as fans, and go, it just takes some players, you bring them in 6 months, you go, bang, off they go. Brighton are really good at this, aren't they? They bring players in from South America, and you don't hear from them for a year. They're in their 21s, or they're out on loan in Belgium, and they come back and, whoa, look at that. Mitoma was one NC. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and you've got to have a little bit of patience as a fan and go, well, the club are doing the right thing, developing at their own pace. Once they're ready to go, the idea is you put them in that first team and they don't look back, because you've timed it right and they're ready to go, and they don't need to then step back out, because sometimes with young players, excuse me, you have to manage their minutes like we were saying earlier. So you put them in, then you take them out, give them a breather, then you put them back in, and you keep that hunger for minutes. If you time it right with the development, you can get them in that team and they just fly because they're ready, mature, and then they go. And so I think with Gonzalez and Noah Lamina and one or two others, I think we've just, as fans, we've got to trust the people at the club that they know when the time is right to give these guys their wings, if you like, and let them go. Whether it's, you know, someone like Enzo Gonzalez, he might go out on loan next year. It doesn't mean he's not settled in. It doesn't mean he's not ready. It just means that they think that's the next step in his development, that needs to go and play some senior football for a year and get kicked by centre halves and fullbacks. And he can come back the year after, tougher, stronger, physically sharper, and then they have another look at him. It might just be that. It's the same with Mosquera, isn't it? Because I think the plan is this summer is where Mosquera comes back in and becomes a first-team squad member.
Jack, that is almost a seamless link. Now, guys, I'm going to come on to Mosquera and the lone players with Lewis, Brian, and Jack in a minute, because I think that's worth you're going exactly where I want to go with this. And we hadn't talked about this because I do want to talk about that. But guys, if you want to get involved in the chat, just hit the subscribe button. You only need to be subscribed for 1 second. You can join in the chat. We've also got a question that we're going to be asking all of the guys at the end and you, which we want you to give us some feedback. Hit the poll as well, and someone let me know what the polling is on the European. I think it's overwhelming that most people don't expect. But you know, Jack, Lewis, and Brian, Mosquera, Lewis, Chiquinho. I want to go talk to you. You know, in the summer, you know, we're probably going to have at least one of our main players that are going to go. Gomez, please don't sell him. Ryan Ait-Nouri, I don't want to sell him either. And then you've obviously got Pedro Neto, and you know, if I was going to let anyone go at the moment, it'd probably be Pedro. But you know, the lone players that are out at the moment, who do you think is going to be involved in the squad next year as someone that's going to come back in? Because I think we need to strengthen the defence as well, and I think we need another couple of central defenders.
Yeah, I think Mosquera, bring him back. Apparently, he's doing really well over there. You know, and Chiquinho is they're starting over there. So bring him back. I think Gary will want to have a look at him at least. You know, in our environment, and get a pre-season with him.
Lewis.
Yeah, I think Chiquinho is an exciting player. I saw a stat on Twitter.
Who's he out with at the moment? Where's Chiquinho at the moment?
I think he's at Estoril, Dave. I might be wrong. No, that might have been where
Famalicão, is it?
Yeah, Famalicão. He came from Estoril, same as Totti. But yeah, he's got 4 goals and 2 assists this season for his in the league. But that's in the lowest scoring team in Portugal, in his league. So, you know, it's not bad return. I was really excited when I saw him at the back end of Bruno's season. I thought he looked like really. Yeah, fantastic player. I remember seeing him against Arsenal and Man City as well. You know, obviously the Man City game was a poor performance overall, but he looked really promising to me. And obviously he just got injured at the start of the next season in that pre-season game. But yeah, I think, you know, the same for Mosquera coming back. Obviously, it looks likely that maybe Dawson may have one last season in him where he will be phased out, and you'll probably see him 50 to 40% of the time in the lineup, and having Mosquera there as someone who's performing at a top level in Spain. You know, in Villarreal, they're very impressed with him. It looks like
he's a regular for them.
Yeah, I think he's playing consistently week in, week out there. So yeah, it's promising, definitely. And I think again, he's a player who I think suits England, suits the style of play. Quite aggressive and physical, which I think you have to be here. Yeah, I think those two coming back will feel like new signings, providing they stay fit, especially with Chiquinho with his knee, because it's such a bad injury, the ACL, which he suffered at the start of a couple of seasons ago now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of players out on loan, Dave, and I think, you know,
is there anyone else, Jack, Lewis, Brian, that stands out that potentially could be involved in the first team squad next year that's out on loan at the moment that you can see, other than Chiquinho and Mosquera?
I suppose the next closest one would be Luke Cundle, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but I've got a feeling they'll probably try to cash in a bit like they did with Sanderson and Giles.
yeah.
I think they'll cash in. You got Joe Hodge, who might come back and be in and around it, but again, I think he'll want to play first team football. And then you've got people like Podence, who has done really well at Olympiacos, but do Wolves see him as money? Is money, isn't it? You can get 5, 6, 7 million for him. So is that more valuable to the club right now than having him back in the squad? Because we know he can score goals, but he's a bit of a.
But he has also had a bit of a attitude problem, hasn't he? That's been the issue with the Podence.
Yeah,
I don't think Gary would want him upsetting the apple cart, would he? Really? If that's his history. I think that was the problem with Silva as well, wasn't it? I think he was getting so cheesed off, and he was, just being a negative influence. I mean, he'd be playing regularly now if he'd have stayed.
Well, JS96 has don't know who this kid is that he's put up here. A Fabio Silva. Any of you guys want him back in and around the first team squad next year?
No.
Jack shaking his head.
I'll have him right now because he'd be better than anything we've got available at the moment. But it's too late now, isn't it?
Lewis, would you have him?
Yeah, I think it was a similar position they were in last season, where he went away the second half of the season and performed well, and that they appeared to be interested in him, and they decided they were going to keep him here, and they lost the chance of cashing on the investment. And I hope they don't make the same mistake this year. And I think there will be interest primarily from Rangers.
How much do you think Fabio Silva they will let him go for?
15.
Yeah,
Scotland don't get much money, do
10 to
they?
15.
They don't generate much, so that would be a big
£1 million back. Someone we paid 35 million for.
Straight swap for Jack Butland. They want 15 million for Jack.
Where are we going to strengthen next year then? Do you think Jose Sarr will be still here next year?
Well, there's all these rumours about Saudi and that going on. I don't know. Mind you, I think a lot of players will be have second thoughts about. I know the money's unbelievable, but they'll have second thoughts about going there because it's being proved to be Mickey Mouse, and it really is, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. If you want to play football, you're playing in the best league in the world, aren't you? Why would you want to?
Brian.
I know.
You might get phases of players that go across, and maybe the group that are there now as a whole, from Europe that moved in the summer, they may spend maybe one more season and collect their money and move on, and then a next batch of players will move over and kind of take their places.
They have to stay for 2 years, don't they? Otherwise, they have to pay tax. So they have to stay for 2 years. So,
well, I'll tell you what. This conversation is going to rumble on in regards to Wolves' 24-25 Premier League campaign. It's going to rumble on in regards to, there's a lot of people that are putting, shall I say, Fosun and Jeff and, a fair bit more slack, rightly so, because of all the stuff that's happened with FFP and how they've got us through it. There's an awful lot of other people that will say, well, they got us into the mess in the first place by spending the likes of £35 million on, Fabio Silva, by spending 30-odd million pounds on Guedes. There's another player. We haven't actually sold him yet, have we still?
No, still on loan. Yeah.
There's another potential bit of money coming in for there. Again, that was a large amount. And obviously Wolves, have been stung a little bit with those sort of deals and aren't going to be looking to spend the 30 to 40 million pounds like we've spent on a lot of players. They'll be more looking at the 15 to 20 million pound market, I think. I do think potentially that if they could get a real proven quality striker, that's done it at the right age, they might spend more if it's the right person. But we've also been linked this week, and we did a thing on this with Chem Campbell?
Che Adams.
Che Adams, apologies. Che Adams from Southampton. He's in the final year of his contract. He's got 2 or 3 months to go. He's running down his contract. Stayed with Southampton last year. We're going to go to Brian first on this. Brian, you worked.
I know Shay. I know Shay quite well, actually. Yeah, he's a very, very nice bloke. Really, really nice bloke. But I don't know whether this is the answer, Dave. I was speaking to my Saints fan. I watched the game yesterday, the Saints game, yesterday afternoon, and he missed quite a few. My Saints mate said to me, he said, "It looks like he's got 2 left boots on." He probably cost them the game yesterday. It
scored 9 goals.
Not yesterday. Yeah, I'm talking about Friday. It was Friday, wasn't it? It was Friday because they played.
9 goals in his last 18 appearances, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, just
on a free transfer, 4 years in the Premier League, scored a lot of goals, got a lot of assists this year in the Championship. He's 27 years old. Would you have him as a squad player? I'm not on about as the only number 9 that comes in with Che Adams, and they spend a bit of money on a striker as well. Would you have him?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would.
Lewis?
I don't know what his wages will be like, but
yeah. This is the thing I spoke to you about yesterday, Dave. Obviously, I saw a really good clip from the Ben Foster podcast, and I really recommend everybody to go and watch that clip. You can find it on YouTube. And he was talking about the Mbappe deal to Real Madrid, about how everyone is talking about this is such a fantastic deal for the club of Real Madrid, to get a player for free. But because the player is leaving with no transfer fee, everything else is inflated. So, you still have to be careful with the agent fees, which will be considerably higher. The weekly wage will be considerably higher. And if you look at it, maybe he's worth 30,000 a week. You would expect, for given the position we're in at the moment, and he'd be leaving, coming to us. But with that on a free, he may say, "I want 50 or 60," and he's not worth that, because 60 grand a week is a lot of money. So it really does depend on the specifics of the financials for me. If the price was wrong,
30 to 40,000 pounds a week on a free, would you take him?
With those ones, yes. But any much higher than that, then no.
Jack?
Yeah, I think we've kind of nailed it, haven't we? I think in terms of the context, if you bring in Che Adams as a squad player to sit on the bench, and if you have an injury crisis like now, he can come in and fill a gap for a couple of games. Absolutely. He's got experience in the Premier League. He's got decent goal record. He's come through at non-league, didn't he? Was it? I can't remember where it was. It was Sheffield way, wasn't it? And then he went up to Birmingham and onwards. So he's kind of had that journey. So he's obviously got a real understanding of English football. And if he comes in and then no one else comes in and they go, well, we've signed a striker, it's Che Adams, you kind of go, hang on a minute, we're not in this position again. But if he comes in as part of a revamped forward squad area, then I'm all for it. I mean, if you look at, I was doing this earlier just out of interest. So I'm going to read you a list of players here that have played up front for us in the last year, right? Sarabia, Neto, Cunha, Wang, Bellegarde, Jimenez, Diego Costa, Traore, Chiquinho, Guedes, Kalajic, Podence, Silva. There's only one of them available yesterday.
Yeah.
So all of us, Che Adams to boost up your squad numbers, absolutely.
But not as
we talked about Danny Ings, didn't we, in January? And people were saying, "Oh, I'm not." That's the kind of player you need in your squad, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same as we've got Matt Doherty now, isn't it? He's there in the squad in case Semedo gets injured or suspended or something. He'll come in and he won't let anyone down, and he ain't going to rock the boat if he's not playing. He's ideal, and that's what Che Adams would be.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. I think the thing is, if we were to just bring in Che Adams on a free, and he's the number 9 and the main man, then it's like a different conversation. Yeah. But if you're bringing him in and another number 9 you're going to be spending 20 to 30 million pounds on, it's a different equation, because you need those type of players in the squad. And he's still at a good age, and if you can get him at the right price, and he's going to get Premier League football, and he's going to come in and do a job. He's not an academy kid. He's been around, he's been roughed up, he's played in the Premier League, he's scored goals in the Championship. He's the sort of player that would probably feed off having better players around him as well. I think if the price is right, and he's not the only number 9 that we bring in, he could be an option for us. Because at the end of the day, as Lewis has said quite rightly, it's not just about the transfer fee, it's the wages. And if we get the wages right as well, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer really for me, because we just need squad members. And he probably, see it as a good opportunity, and he can score goals and provide assists as well. So, but not as the sole number 9 that we bring in. Right. We've got something coming up in a minute that I want you guys to answer a question on. If you've got any questions for the panel, save them for the next 5 minutes, because you'll get to ask them at the end. But we're going to go with Brian first. Your Fox at Shipley performance rating, your Lee Moore Windows man of the match, and your highlight or moment of the day. Remember, it doesn't have to be football. It could be you walked your dog, if that was a highlight.
Kick the dog.
Any animal cruelty?
No, I'm sorry, no, it's a
charity
joke.
watching or watching to complete this plan. He's only joking.
Yeah. The performance, I'll give it a 7. 6.5 to 7. Under the circumstances. My man of the match, I think I'd give it to Gomez. He was everywhere again. Closely followed by Tommy Doyle, I'd say. I think Tommy Doyle had a really good game, actually. Yeah. And moment of the day, just having my grandsons watching it together with me. That was my moment of the day.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Jack?
Performance rating, I wrote 6.5. I think, like I said, I thought the general performance was okay, but those key moments, we weren't quite at it. We missed a couple of really good chances, and then some poor defending for both goals, in my opinion. So I struggled to give it much higher than that. Man of the match, I went with Tommy Doyle. I thought he was the most likely player to create something yesterday in terms of moving the ball forward, and he was picking up some nice positions in finding those little spaces and constantly sort of turning on the half turn and looking to move the ball. Moment of the day, I've got 2 if I can. So my sort of personal moment of the day was I went for a really nice curry before the game with my friend Tony, who travels from Manchester to every home and away game, and it was nice for him to come down on the train, and we went for a brilliant curry in Birmingham before the game. I just really wanted to quickly mention as well the moment in the game where they're stopped so that the Muslim players could break their fast.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was, I know it happens a lot, but I thought it was brilliant, because we've got a country now where people are constantly looking to create division, aren't they? And actually what we were saying there is, doesn't matter what your religion is and all this kind of stuff, you're welcome here, and we can accommodate that. So I thought that was a really important moment to kind of put out there.
Well said, mate. Great. Lewis?
I'll split the difference between Jack and Brian's performance rating, because I was, between 6.5 and 7. So I go 6.75.
I love that.
Man of the match, I would have gone Nelson Semedo, but I think he just got too tired at the end. Was on the goal, their second goal? I think he could have been a bit tighter, but you could see he just looked exhausted. So I'm going to go with Gomez. I thought, you hear the chants, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Joao Gomez, very impressed with him again, and he's become a really important player for us over the past season.
More the reason we cannot sell this man in the summer.
Yeah, he's looking probably.
There needs to be an £80 million price tag on his head.
Yeah, looking a bit quite untouchable for us at the minute. And then probably the moment of the day would just be to spend time with Lucas at the match for his birthday, I would say.
Oh, you'll be loving that now.
Yeah.
With your little bro. He's not so little though, is he? He looks older than you.
No, he looks looks older than me, Dave. You're right.
He really, really does. Fantastic. Right, guys. So this is the bit where you need to be subscribed. So if you're not, please subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to ask you a question, all of you a question now. And also, this is also the point in time where you can ask a question directly to Jack, Brian, Lewis, myself, or the whole panel. So if you've got any questions, bang them down. But the question that I've got for the panel tonight is, and for you guys in the chat, what is your favourite ever Wolves shirt, home or away? What is your favourite ever Wolves shirt, home, beg your pardon, or away? We go with you first, Brian.
Oh, I had it up a minute ago, and I can't find the damn thing. I'm actually going to change my mind, Dave. I'm going to go for my favourite I haven't got a picture of it. I was going to show you a picture of it. But 1965 was the first time I went to the game. Sorry, I've got something. 65 was the first game I went to against Ipswich with my dad, my brother, and my uncle. And it was just a plain gold top with a round neck, with black on the round neck, and no badges on it, no badges at all. It was just gold and black shorts.
It was just gold and black, was it?
Just gold and black.
Looking anything, hold on, would it be looking anything like this?
1965.
No, will it be looking anything like this? Where is it? Have I put it on the screen?
No.
Not yet. Hold on. No, it's not that one. I'll try it. We just wait patiently. I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to remove. No, not that one. It's not that one. Delete. Stop screen. Try sharing screen again. The wonders of modern technology. Would it be anything like this?
No. It was exactly the same as that, Dave, but without the badge. They didn't have a badge on. So
like that without the badge.
Without the badge, yeah.
I'm close to it.
But very close to it. But they all had long sleeves as well. There's no short sleeves in those days. It was all long sleeves.
All right. That's 1965. There's a few that are in the chat in a minute. We're going to go to all of yours in a minute, which we've done the pundits. Lewis, will go to you next.
Yeah, I decided to pick a kit that I saw live be roaring, in games. So I went for this kit. Oh, can you see that? It's the 2019 23rd shirt. I don't think it will show up on the camera.
2019
23rd shirt.
Hold on. So it's the Wolves shirt, third kit, 2019.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find that. Is that the green one?
Yeah. I think this is. If I might be wrong here, Dave, but from what I heard at the time, speaking to people in the shop and things, this was the best-selling Wolves kit ever.
Wow. Let's hold on a minute. I'm just going to.
Is that the Mexico? Is that the Mexico? Yeah. I got it here.
I'm going to just put it up. I think it's this one. If I can get it on the screen for you. Are you talking that one?
Yeah, exactly. No, this one.
With Raul Jimenez, the Mexico inspired kit. So you're going for that one. Can you tell us why you like that?
I thought it was a very special season to be back in the Europa League. I think obviously it was very special for Raul, who was a key player for us at that time. I think it sold really well in Mexico as well. It was received well over there. And yeah, I think it was just a really nice kit. I thought it was nice. They did the following season. They did the Portugal kit, something similar. It was like a burgundy with the green. I quite like when a player so influential as Raul was, and obviously Neves maybe in the following season, and the other Portuguese guys. I like when the club kind of nods to that and said, yeah, we're proud of that, and we'll have a national colours as our away or third shirt.
Fantastic, mate. Jack.
I'm going to stir up a bit of controversy here, because I know this one wasn't universally liked, but I'm going to go back to when I sort of first started really getting into
red kit.
No. Sort of 2000 to sort of 2002-ish home kit. It was a really dark gold. And this was kind of when I first started. Yeah.
What was on the front of it? Wasn't it the old Doritos, was it?
No, it was Goodyear. I think it was the last time we had Goodyear.
I've got that.
Oh, yes. So you're talking. Let me just see whether I can get this up. I think I've got it up on the screen for you. Let me just see if I can add that for everyone to see if I've got it right. I'm going to put it up onto the screen any second now. Is it this one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
You can buy that for £101 according to this website. Yeah, so you're going for that. Good. Tell us why you like that one.
just personally, really, it was like when I first started really going to games regularly with my dad, and sort of I started to like learn all the players' names and the stats and everything. So it's kind of, and if I look back, I can kind of see the pitch with the players wearing that kit, and it was people like Jolie and Lescott was coming through at that point, and George and Dar was up front, who I loved as a player, and we had Tamori Ketsbaya, who was an absolute nutter, and he wore that kit. I remember Kevin Muscat as well. So yeah, just brings back kind of why I sort of fell in love with the club, really. So it's kind of just emotionally, that kit kind of just sticks out in my head. But I know people didn't really like the colour of it, and so I know it's a bit of a controversial choice.
Fantastic. Let's just go down in the chat and let's see what we've got coming up here. I've got quite a few people that are commenting. JS96 likes the 2000 to 2001 away kit in the light blue. We've also got, I think this might, the one with the Goodyear and the coat of arms from Kevin, the one that you and Robert wore against Sandwell, the 92 Goodyear kit from H. Sandhurst likes one of the white away tops. Derek is a big fan of the 91-92 season Goodyear collared shirt. Carl likes the 74 to 77 is his favourite. John, the 1965 top, just think of Star Trek Captain Kirk. Neil's agreeing, I love the Goodyear tops. The home shirt with the black, I think he means the black pinstripes down it. That's got the store on the front, hasn't it? We've got we've done that one. The Goodyear sky blue away. We've got the 2020-21 Portugal kit. Andy DeWolf wants to know, because did we do a ticking kit for Steve Bull? I love that. The Baruda Sporting Bet one, the 1999-2001. Going down that, the blue third kit in 2017-18, the 2019 third kit Michael Lever's going for. With that one, we got the 1997 kit. The white away top with the green collar. The white away top with the green collar is I've just got that because it's finally out in the Wolves store, and it was always one of my favourites. I'd love us to do a white away kit with a teal, a modern version on that. I'd love that. So yeah, loads of you that are coming there. If you were to see a new Wolves top, a new Wolves shirt for next year. If you were to like want a new Wolves shirt for next year, and this goes to everyone in the chat as well, and we're going to go with you first on this, Jack. What would your perfect design be?
Blimey. I think it's got to be gold, hasn't it? Old gold, proper old gold. Probably a black collar.
What do you call by proper old gold? Because like the colour we've got at the moment is proper old gold.
Technically, they call it proper old gold. I think the closest we've had recently was probably the first year we came up under Hosen, wasn't it? The sort of W88 one. That was kind of a
Adidas kit with the round.
Yeah, so a proper nice old gold. Because it's very easy, isn't it, to go a bit too yellow or a bit too orange, isn't it?
I can 100% tell you there's no way they're moving from this colour.
Yeah.
This is it. So, this is the brand colours. So, you know, I know there is a big debate, depending on what generation you are, what colour, whether it's mustardy brown or whether it's more orange or it's more towards yellow. I mean, there's so many variations over the year. When we had a brown, virtually, it was like a mucky brown kit. There's all sorts of variations, but the colour is the colour, and that's the brand colour, and that's what it's going to stop at. And it's actually the same colour as the 1960s kit. So, funnily, and the 1950s kit. So, you know, you could go, well, that's the true old gold, or you go with the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, it changes. But, like, anyway, you want a round neck.
I like a collar.
You want a collar? We haven't had a collar for a while, have we?
We haven't. No, I do like it. Yeah. I remember Paul Ince used to have his collar up, didn't he, when he used to play as well? Yeah. So yeah.
Do you want a collar? Yeah. Brian? You're on mute, Brian. You've muted yourself.
So I'd like a I was coughing. Sorry. I'd like a round neck actually, just personal choice. The colour's okay at the moment. I think it's okay. I'd like it a little bit more shiny though. Do you remember? I don't know if you saw any of the old footage from the 50s games.
Obviously, like the
Honda shiny, weren't they? Shiny shirts, which attracted a lot of people actually. Those because that was the first televised games as well as the first European games, weren't they? So maybe a throwback to that, perhaps yeah, I like a round neck actually. That's just like a round neck.
A round neck. Lewis?
I quite like this season's kit, to be honest, Dave. I like the black and the white on the kind of accent colours. I like it's a bit like a V-neck, I'd say. It's not too low, obviously, but it's not a full round neck. I don't think. Obviously, you don't want to have two similar kits, each season, but something similar would be nice.
Something similar. And for those people that say, oh, the kit's yellow, it is not yellow. Put our kit next to Watford or next to Norwich, which is actually yellow. You'll see that it is not yellow. I know there's a debate about the colour, and we could argue about this. You've got to accept the colour ain't going to change. This is the brand colours, and the brand colour is going to be what it's staying. They're not going to mess about with the colour. So this is the colour that we're going to have. I would love if we could have a little black pinstripe. I'd love to see us have a little, not thick thing, just a little thin, like you see the old Bully pictures with Tomo and the store on. I'd love to see a little black pinstripe. How would you feel about that?
Well, why don't you go the whole on, Dave, and have a tie?
No, well, I'm not sure about a tie. But not a pinstripe suit, little pinstripe. What do you think about a pinstripe, Lewis or Jack or Boston?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
The money.
I wouldn't mind seeing a collar and back as well, because we haven't had a collar for a little while. So that's really interesting. So yeah, guys, just before we finish, because we're just coming up to 90 minutes. Are any of you got any specific questions for the panel to finish off on tonight? You've got a couple of minutes. If you've got any questions, quickly bang them down in the chat. Whilst you're doing that, I do want to say again, thank you ever so much, of course, to the wonderful people at Creation Wolf, who's really appreciated for help powering and our extra time sponsor. So thank you ever so much for that. We've got a question. We've got a question from Merv Bennett. He wants to know, are we keeping Castor next season? Most teams are ditching them. I do know a little bit of something to do with that, but I can't really, me or Jack can't really say. But like you say, there's a lot of people that are moving away from or next year, and I'm sure we'll be seeing an announcement from Wolves at some point. It wouldn't, I wouldn't be too expected that we would be, or not. So that's all I can really say on that one for next year. But to Jack, any comments?
I think what we can say is that I think the Castor has been very popular with supporters, hasn't it? The quality has been really good, and the range of stuff that's been released has been good. However, I think in terms of what the club have received, it's perhaps not been quite as well received as it.
And don't forget, the Castor Pro kit is made by Castor.
Yeah, everything else
is. The replica kit is made by Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves have got license, which is different to Villa and Newcastle. They've got license to actually manufacture the replica kit. The Pro kit is made by Castor, which is why it's more expensive. The Pro kit's what the players wear, and the replica kit obviously isn't quite the same level of quality. So, I mean, it's still good. Some people argue, but it's not. I mean, I went for the Pro kit this year personally, just because I wear my shirt all the time, and I got it at the point where there's a little bit of a discount on it. I prefer the quality to the replica kit, but like as I was saying, like Wolves do produce their own kit. Is there any other? Let's have a look. Andy Hinton says, "Great show. Nice to be off work and actually watch live. Great to have you joining us." I wish I never asked my question now. It's kind of boring. I don't know what your question was, mate. That's Chaotic Ranger. Where are we going to finish? Deborah. I love this name, Deborah the Zebra. It's ace. Brian, good feeling where we're going to finish?
Exactly where we are now, 10th.
Jack, you're nodding.
Yeah, I think 10th.
Lewis.
Yeah, I think between 10th and 11th. I think depending on
you're gonna do again 10 and a half.
Yeah, I think we could drop a couple more points. I think there's a couple of games coming up against teams that might need a win more than us. I look to the Luton game especially. I think that could be a really tough fixture. It's a game we should win, and teams around us probably, I'm not exactly sure on the statistics, but I presume teams around us would have beat Luton. We obviously didn't when we played at their place, and I think these kind of results could just knock us down to 11th as the season draws to a close.
Well, to be honest, I think we'll probably finish around about 10th, 11th as well. But I think, if we finish 10th or 11th from where we were at the start of the season, from where we finished last year, 13th, that's progress and that's forward progress. And then you have to go again and improve on that next season. So, yeah, probably that'll be about it.
And I also think, Dave, just quickly on that, because again, I was looking at this earlier. Based on where Wolves budgeted to finish this year, 17th, to finish 10th, that's an extra 15.6 million in prize money. With someone as shrewd as Matt Hobbs in charge, that's a lot of money to spend on players, isn't it, potentially?
Absolutely
so
right.
Let's hope we finish as high as we can.
What I'd like to see, Dave, is at least 3 more wins, which is not impossible, and that'll give us 50 points. And that's a great where we were at the beginning of the season, isn't it? 50 points. We were dreaming of that, weren't we?
We would be. JS96 player of the season and goal of the season. We weren't going to cover that now. We'll cover that in a one towards the end.
Yeah.
But Sandhurst Wolves wants to know best game of the season so far. Quickly.
Chelsea away.
Chelsea away. Jack.
Chelsea away or Tottenham away, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lewis.
I quite like Tottenham at home. Start earlier on in the season, big win at the start. I think that was the first kind of statement win.
I loved Tottenham at home just for how we played for the whole game, how we reacted to going behind, and the finish was insane. Malcolm wants to know: would you like to see a new Wolves badge? A new Wolves badge? No.
I don't think they'll change it because it's so iconic and recognisable, isn't it?
Yes,
from a marketing point of view.
It's the only badge in the Premier League that hasn't got the name on it. It's just the logo. I don't see them changing it. Although it is 150 years in 2 or 3 years' time, anniversary of Wolves in 2027. It wouldn't be surprising if they do something around that as a commemorative thing. So we'll have to...
I'll just say about that, Dave. I've got a lot of Wolves kit that's not, gold and black or, not shirts, just subtle stuff, Oh, well, I know, actually. I think I'll just put my T-shirt up. Look at that. You see that Wolves badge?
Yeah.
If I walk around that in Southampton, it's really subtle, that. People will come up to me and say, "Oh, you're Wolves fan." They recognise that badge.
No, it's because you've got an Illuminous green top on. They spot you first. H wants to know: is Gon our manager at the start of next season?
Yeah.
I think it's a tougher question than it appears. I think I would love him to be. I think everyone wants him to be, but he may decide that if he isn't backed in the summer and players are sold, he may not choose to be our manager at the start of next season.
Right, interesting. Brian.
I'd like to think that he definitely will be, but as Lewis just said, he's done so well, hasn't he? He's done so well, and there's also this England thing as well, isn't it? As I said a few weeks ago, he's a perfect fit for an England job because
put it like this, Brian. He ain't going to be England manager. There's no way in the world that Gary O'Neill is going to be the next England manager. Why? Because he's only managed Bournemouth for one season and Wolves for one season. England are not going to go for Gary O'Neill. I think he could potentially be a future England manager. I think Eddie Howe would be more probably ahead of him in that respect of potential because he's been managing for a lot longer. So I can't see that he's going to be England manager. I know that's mooted. And Manchester United, apparently, we're interested in having you as part of our coaching setup, blah, blah, blah. He ain't going to be interested in going to Manchester United and being a coach. He's going to want to be the main man. The other thing is, Gary O'Neill was 1 year at Bournemouth. He's been 1 year at Wolves. Potter left Brighton to go to Chelsea. It didn't work out very well for him, you know, moving. Gary O'Neill, for me, I think he'll want to be in the same job for 2 or 3 years to build something, to build his reputation. He's at the right club with Wolves. I agree with Lewis, and I agree with everyone in the chat. Jeff, Matt, Fosun have got to make sure that Gary O'Neill is rewarded for the work he's done this year with a new contract. He's earned it. He's done wonders. And I think Gary O'Neill's working very closely with Matt Hobbs. And they do need to make sure that this summer that they allow Gary to be able to mould his team. Obviously, there's going to be certain constrictions. But like what Jack said, Wolves finished 10th. That's an extra 15 million. They're already about 20 million in plus on top of that 15 million in terms of the FFP. So that's about 30, 35 million. I reckon they'll probably say to Gary O'Neill, you've got around about 25 million to play with, plus whatever you bring, whatever we sell, we're going to give you 75%. If we sell 80 million pounds worth of talent, we might give you another 60. So you might have around about 60 to 80 million pounds to play with, and then it's up to him to bring in the players. But and I think that's what will happen, and I think that's what will happen this summer. Believe you me, there are people on this channel, Sutty being one and others, that if they do not do that, they are going to be called to account big time because they've got kind of bought a pass with the FFP, and there are lots of supporters, including me, who's been very sort of like, let's see and wait for this summer. There's a lot of people that have been very patient, and this summer they need to show a little bit of ambition, and they've got a manager now in place that's done a wonderful job with his team, with what he's had to work with. He now needs to turn around and go, do you know what? I need a proper pre-season. Bear in mind, Gary O'Neill has not even had a pre-season with his team yet. And he needs to be able to bring in some players and make this team he wants. And then he can then hopefully take the team to the next level. If they don't back him and they don't give him the money, not only will Gary be peed off, the whole of the Wolves fan base will not accept it. They will not accept it. They will not accept it, and we'll be in trouble if they don't. I strongly believe that they will back him. They'll give him the contract, and there will be money to spend, and we'll see more people coming in. But if they don't, every single fan will call them out for it because they won't get away with it. They won't get away with it.
I think one thing that Gary's got in his favour is that he's proven that he can make players better. You know, he can make players better players than what they are. So there might be some championship players that, you know, it's always, you know, a bit of a chance when you take on championship players. But Gary's proven that he's I don't think there's one player that he hasn't made better at Wolves, has he? Really?
He's got, and what is not only that, he's created a team spirit that we haven't had since, you know, and we've seen not only the players seem happy with each other, they seem to get on with each other, they seem to fight for each other, even in adversity. And he's talked about this, players playing out of position. And he's also referred to it in his press conferences. Gary O'Neill is saying, you look at the likes of Villa and Newcastle, they've got injuries, but they've got players, round pegs to put back into round holes because they've got the players and the depth. We need more depth. We need to, you know, obviously have a pathway for young players to come through, because I also think that's important. But he needs to have an option that he isn't having to jig the team around just to get a player like Lamina playing where he is. We lose something from him playing there. So the summer's going to be very, very important in that regards, that he can have a team, that he can have the first proper transfer window to build and mould a team. Because January there was nothing. He came in 3 days before the season. Gary O'Neill has taken a team that Julian Lopetegui said was not good enough and was going to get relegated to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Yeah, we should have got to the semis. We messed it up, typical Wolves fashion. To 10th place in the Premier League. It's an unbelievable job that he's done. And as I said on my reaction, there's 3 managers that should be considered for Manager of the Year this year. And it ain't Pep Guardiola, and it ain't blooming Jurgen Klopp because he's on his farewell tour. It is Rob Edwards if he keeps Luton up. It's Unai Emery for the job that he's done at Aston Villa. And it's Gary O'Neill. Those are the 3 people for me that should be contended for Manager of the Year, not Pep Guardiola because of the procession of Manchester City, and not Jurgen Klopp just because it's Jurgen Klopp and everyone loves him and he's the media darling. It's 3 players that have actually done what they've done with the squads they've got, and those three managers, if they achieve what they've achieved with their resources, if Unai Emery gets Villa, wins the into the final of a European competition and into the top 4 of the Premier League, Manager of the Year probably would be him. Gary O'Neill wouldn't be far off if he gets Wolves into the top 10. And if Rob Edwards keeps Luton up, what a job he's done as well. You know what I mean? You know, fantastic. And I'll tell you what, Rob Edwards, future Wolves manager, I bet you one day he'll be a future Wolves manager. You could see that happening. It's a young English manager as well. And it's great to see the likes of Rob Edwards and Gary O'Neill, that are young English managers coming through and get given a chance. But they've got to back him. We can't lose Gary O'Neill and be back into let's get someone new in at the end of this season. Let's hope.
I think, no, Dave, that I totally agree with you. Obviously, you've got to sort out his contract. Why do we have to wait until the end of the season? I mean, do it now.
They're already in discussions. I
think.
Yeah,
of course they are. Yeah. But the thing is that that's the main priority. But when we start signing players, I don't want to see these people like Guedes coming, 27 million quid, and Silva, young kid for 35 million. You can get players. We've proven that with Gomez, 15 million quid we paid for him. What a steal that was. If we can bet more players like that, Lamina.
All we have to do, any players like that, all we have to do is create an hashtag. If it's Bobby Smith, and he's a new super South American talent. We just need to start a free Bobby Smith hashtag because it works and get him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know I've got off on one. Listen, guys, we will, all Wolves fans will watch with very much interest in the summer and what's going to happen. Obviously, we've still got 9 games to go till the end of the season. Still a lot of points to play for. It's been a great season, so we don't want it to wash out. We know we're struggling. Wang's about 3 weeks away. Pedro Neto, we might not see him in a Wolves shirt again this year, but we might see him towards the end. Kuna might be back in the squad, maybe. For Burnley, probably, definitely for West Ham. And obviously, Bellegarde, we don't really know. Dawson apparently might be back in contention for West Ham as well. Let's try and get to 50-plus points, like Brian said. Let's try and finish in the top half. Be an incredible season. Even if we miss out on Europe, maybe it might, European football would be fantastic. It would certainly change the dynamic of what they would need to do with the squad, because we need an even deeper squad to be dealing with that. But if we don't get Europe, it might not be the end of the world either way, because it will put at its strain. Not saying that I don't want a European tour, but I do want us to push on next year as well. But we proved under Nuno that we could do that. Finally, prediction time. Boston, Brian, Burnley score and West Ham score.
I was very impressed with Burnley at Chelsea on Saturday. I watched the whole game. Quite impressive, actually. 1-1 for Burnley. We'll win 2-1 against West Ham.
Right, Lewis.
I'm going to go 1-0 Burnley to Burnley for the Burnley game. I think Datra Fofana, I'm very impressed with him. He's on loan from Chelsea. And I don't see us scoring against them. I think they're going to be very, very smart with the way they play us. They're going to make it tough. I don't see us scoring or beating Burnley or walking away with a draw. And West Ham look like they're in, they're not in the best of form in terms of results, but they're scoring goals, which, again, as I said to you before, Dave, we're not scoring goals at the moment. Maybe by then we'll have Cunha back in the squad and it could be different. But I see West Ham scoring at least 2 goals and maybe us scoring 1. So I'm going to go 2-1 to West Ham.
And no points from Burnley or West Ham?
No, not the next 2.
Okay, Lewis. Jack?
I think
1-1. You cheerful, Lewis.
1-1 on Tuesday night. I think.
You there, Jack?
Yeah. I mean, we ain't got the best record at Turf Moor, have we, traditionally? So it is a bit of a bogey ground for us. And like Louis said earlier, they've got a lot more to play for. It's funny, isn't it? Every season, teams at the bottom are rubbish all year, and then with 10 games to go, they realise we better start getting some points here, boys, and they suddenly turn it around, don't they, and start playing well. So be a tricky one on Tuesday night. I think we'll get a draw. And then West Ham could be anything. I mean, they're one of them teams we were saying just before we came on, weren't we? When they take the handbrake off, they're a really good team to watch, but there's just something in them where they just seem to kind of throw really good positions away. So I could see maybe a 2-2, just a really end-to-end sort of, how did that end up 2-2 kind of game. So maybe 2 points from the next 2 games.
2 points. You'll have to wait for my Burnley preview tomorrow for my score prediction. But like you say, we're just finding Burnley when they're just starting to play well and get some results. They're good win and then 10 men against Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea fan this year. It's not the best, is it really? So it's going to be difficult against Burnley. I'm not going there with so much confidence because Burnley are just starting to get a bit of belief, and they still believe, they're not far away. And with Everton maybe getting another points deduction as well, they're starting to sniff. So I think it'll be a tough game. They'll be targeting Wolves with the situation they'll be going into that thinking this is a big 3 points for them. So if we come out with a point or a win, that would be a great one. And then West Ham, like you say, it could be 4-3, it could be 0-0, it could be 1-0. I don't know, because it could be a very open game. We just don't know what West Ham will turn up and what Wolves will turn up. But what I will say is we did see against Villa, even though we lost, even though we were depleted in numbers, we played some good football at times and we controlled the game for a little period. It's just that finish at the end. So, take the chances and who knows, because we are capable of scoring. Guys, it's been a great show. Thank you ever so much to everyone that's joined in. I hope you've subscribed if you're brand new. All your Wolves news and content here on the channel. If you've enjoyed the video, please just take a second to smash that like button. It lets YouTube know that you enjoy the content. Jack, Brian and Lewis, thank you ever so much for joining us this evening. It's been a great chat. We've had over 400 people pretty much watching live the whole time, which is amazing, from all over the world, which we do appreciate you taking your time out your day to join us. And I know loads of you will watch it back on catch up. And the producer will also put it out on podcast in the morning. So if you want to listen to it back jogging or traveling to and from work, you'll be able to do that. That'll be out before 10 a.m. in the morning. So from myself, Jack, Boston, Brian and Lewis, love to you all. Keep the faith. Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.